The views and opinions of this broadcast do not reflect the views and opinions of Armed Media, New Productions, and its affiliates. Enjoy the show.
Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. It is Monday night right here on Armed Radio. You're listening to Two Beards Talking. I am Daniel Sanders, and joining me as always is my good buddy Matt Lassiter. Matt, how's it going this evening?
Slowly but surely.
Slowly but surely. Who's Shirley?
Jones?
Shirley Jones. I like it. We'll run with it.
You even know who that is?
If I say yes, can we just skip on?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, yes.
Okay, good. We'll just move on from here.
All right. So as we always do at the start of every show, we want to give a big shout out to the troops out there, to the men and women serving overseas. We appreciate everything y'all are doing for us. Keep up the good work and come home safe. We're all rooting for you here back home. And also a big shout out to our first responders, our EMS workers, everybody taking care of us during this COVID-19 pandemic. We appreciate all the hard work y'all are putting in as well out there. So we are going to roll right into it. But before we do, I said we were going to roll right into it, and now we got it before we do. Matt, what's been going on out in Texas?
I had to change hair salons. You ready for this story?
I'm wondering. Please tell me you were not going to the freaking salon where the woman got arrested.
No, that was in Dallas. No, see, when I first got here, because when I lived in Alabama, the same two women cut my hair since I was 10. So when I moved here, I had to find someone to cut my hair.
Right.
So I started going to Sports Clips.
Okay.
So the other day, they opened Sports Clips back up.
Right.
So Sunday, I'm like, yes, fuck yeah, I can go get my hair cut, get my summer hair going. So I call them up. I was like, hey, you guys open? They're like, yeah, we're open. It's about a 2-hour wait. I'm like, cool, I understand. Busy as shit. So I was like, all right, cool, put me on the list. So they put me on the list, and I show up when they finally get a hold of me, and they're like, on the sign on the window, it says, you must wear a mask before entering this establishment. And I was like, you gotta fucking kid me, right? Do you see the problem with wearing a mask before entering that building?
Yes, I do. And I'm gonna expound on that a little bit. Here's my thing with all of this. You can hate me all you want. I really don't give a fuck what you think, but I have yet to wear a freaking mask during all this shit.
I haven't worn a single mask.
And I think for a business to require, for any entity to require the use, first and foremost, with all this shit going on, masks are hard to come by. Plain and simple. And we're talking, actual protective masks. Sorry to say, but if you're one of these idiots walking around with a bandana wrapped around your face like it's freaking 1885 and you're trying to rob the freaking first bank of whatever freaking Western town I'm trying to think of, insert Western town here.
Yeah, we'll go with that. Tombstone.
Yeah, Tombstone, sure. If you're wearing a freaking bandana wrapped around your face, thinking that's protecting you, then you are part of the problem.
Yeah, you really see. Okay, so here's the thing. My initial thought was, I have to wear a mask before entering, but upon entering, I have to take said mask off to get my hair cut.
Yeah.
So what is the point in the fucking mask?
Right. Now, back to what I was saying, if they're going to require the use of a mask, face covering mask, like the city of Birmingham, for example, they issued a city order, county order, whatever you want to call it. The city council said, if you're going to be out in public, you have to wear a mask or a face covering. Well, motherfucker, you better be damn providing it. You know,
Yeah.
it was the same way Costco. I think Costco issued the same kind of order. If you're going to be shopping in their stores, you have to wear a mask. You motherfuckers better be providing me a damn mask to wear then.
And here's the funny thing about those masks. For the most part, most of the masks that people are wearing do nothing. Like bandanas, cloth covering, that does nothing.
Yes, that's what I was getting at. If you're wearing a bandana or a ski mask or anything that, you know, would not be used in, say, like a surgical room or something that you would get in a hospital when you're placed under quarantine, anything, you know, any kind of medical protective mask. If you're not wearing that, you might as well not be wearing a fucking mask.
Well, you know, the funny part about that is even some of those surgical masks, they're only one-way transmission.
Yeah.
Which means you're not protecting you, you're protecting other people from you.
Yeah.
So it's not helping you, and most people don't realize that.
Yeah. Pretty much from what I've seen, the N95 respirators, those are the only true one. I won't say 100%, but, you know, I think what I read, it was like 96, 97% filtration both ways of airborne allergens, bacteria, whatever. The N95 mask, from everything that I've read, is the only true, we'll call it 100% effective way of protecting yourself and protecting others around you.
Yeah. I mean, I could see that. Anything else, I just don't think is going to do what you want it to do the way you want it to do it.
Yeah, and plus, you know, you and I grow up. When we were kids, we grew up actually playing outside, eating dirt, all that other shit.
I swam in the Tennessee River. I'm immune to everything.
Yes,
I'm pretty sure I'm immune to death.
I'm right there with you. I ate fish out of the Euphrates River. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that death has given up all hope on me.
Yeah, it's pretty it's I find it hilarious.
Yeah,
the people that are like, oh, you have to wear a mask. Why? Unless I cough in your mouth, I think you're good to go.
Yeah. Yeah, so if, you know, like I said, if you're one of these people walking around wearing a bandana over your face, just stop.
You're not doing anything.
All you're doing is just wasting time putting the damn thing on and taking it off. And another thing, I'm gonna talk about this for a minute because this is a special breed of stupid right here. If you
Fucking
are
rabbit hole.
Well, not necessarily a rabbit hole, but if you are driving in your vehicle by yourself and you're wearing gloves and a mask,
oh God.
You know, that's the other thing, too. The people wearing gloves. If you're walking through the damn supermarket and you're picking up produce and you're looking it over and you're squeezing it and you're feeling it and then you put it back and then you pick up another piece of produce, what the fuck are you accomplishing?
Nothing.
Absolutely
nothing.
You know, if you touch something wearing those gloves, there's a reason, like, say, if you go to Subway, for example, and you're watching the server make your sandwiches, there's a reason why in between every single fucking sandwich they change their gloves.
Yeah, but even still, technically speaking, if you wanted to be 100% correct, they would need to change their gloves between every topping.
Well, I'm referring more to before this pandemic shit happened, but yeah, you know, you get my drift. If you're wearing the same pair of gloves and, you know, you're touching the oranges and you're touching the apples and you're touching the potatoes and you're touching the buggy and you're touching the little rack that's got the plastic bags on it to pull off, and then you're touching the plastic bag itself, you know, you're touching all the shit in the store wearing the same pair of fucking gloves, what the fuck are you accomplishing?
Literally zero.
Other than just spreading, you know, whatever was on this fucking orange, well, now it's on every fucking thing you've touched. Whatever was on this apple after the orange, well, now you picked up what was on the orange plus what was on the apple, and you just keep adding shit and piling it all up, and
Then you touch your face.
Yes. Then you get home. Maybe, just maybe, you might be one of those individuals driving the car home with your gloves and your mask on like a fucking idiot. And then you get home. Okay, you're thinking to yourself, well, I'm going to be smart and take the gloves off before I take the mask off so I don't touch my face with these gloves. So you take the gloves off, you take the mask off, and then you realize, oh, damn, I left my cigarettes in the car. So you go out to the car and get your cigarettes. Well, guess what? Every fucking thing that you were touching while you had those gloves on still has that shit on it. Now you're touching it with your bare hands. Now you've got it on the cigarette in your hand that you're constantly bringing up to your damn face.
Yep.
So
that's stupidity of a special level.
I'm just blown away by, yes, this is a disease that needs to be monitored. We need to nip it in the fucking bud so we can get back to life that we knew before all this shit, but be fucking smart. Have some fucking common sense.
Although, if we have time for one more story before we get to the news, I did witness a miracle today.
Ooh, miracle. Did Jesus come down from the clouds and miracle this himself?
No, it's a different kind of miracle.
Oh, okay.
So I'm standing in line at Walmart fixing to pay for my goods.
Okay.
I hear one of those motorized buggies pull up behind me.
Right.
Then a woman walks up behind me and says, "Excuse me, sir, I would like to get to that cold case." So I move out of her way. She grabs a Monster Energy drink, gets back on the buggy, and drives away. Holy hell, the healing properties of Monster Energy drinks.
Wow.
She was disabled, then suddenly able-bodied, and then disabled again in a matter of 15 seconds.
Can I ask you this, and this will probably piss off a few listeners out there. Did she look like she could have been a candidate for the show My 600-Pound Life?
No, actually, she didn't. She just looked like somebody that was just too lazy to walk around Walmart.
Wow. How old was this woman? Just rough estimate.
Mid-50s.
See, I don't know. I'm kind of torn on that now because, like, my mother, she's in her early 60s, and she has diabetic neuropathy in both of her legs. So both of her feet are completely numb. Like, the pins and needles feeling that you get when you fall asleep on your arm and you wake up and your whole hand and your arm is numb. That's the feeling she has 24 hours a day in both of her feet and legs. So, yeah, from the outside, you can't really tell that she's still able to get up and walk and move around and all that other shit. She has a little bit more difficulty doing it now. But, like, if we're going to be in Walmart grocery shopping or something like that for an extended period of time, she's going to get on one of those scooters.
Well, most of the time I don't judge. But if you're going to get up, walk up behind me, ask me to move, walk another 10 feet, get the item, then walk the 20 feet back to your buggy, and then get back on it and drive off, yeah, I'm going to talk shit about that.
Yeah. I mean, this is Walmart we're talking about. Let's be real.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Just walk. It's okay.
Yeah, it won't kill you.
Burn some calories. It'll be all right. That's what they're there for.
Oh, man. Yep. All right, so we're going to get into the news now.
Finally.
Yeah. I mean,
two rants and a miracle later.
I mean, that was kind of news we were talking about. A little bit. News-ish. All right, so the first thing that we've got, and a friend of mine up in New York, she actually brought this to my attention. I have this article here from the city.nyc. I'm assuming this is I'm assuming this is a local New York City publication of some kind. But this is on their website, and this article is from May the 5th, 2020. And the headline reads, Cuomo swings to Gates to, quote, reimagine, end quote, New York schools. Now, the overall premise behind this, I'm gonna just read this quote in this article from Andrew Cuomo. The old model of everybody goes and sits in a classroom, and the teacher is in front of that classroom and teaches that class, and you do that all across the city, all across the state, all these buildings, all these physical classrooms. Why, with all the technology you have? So Cuomo's premise behind this, it's basically a bill that he's trying to pass, if I'm not mistaken. It says the state of New York is tapping the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to reimagine education and virtual schooling as millions of students learn from home amid the coronavirus pandemic. Governor Andrew Cuomo offered few details on Tuesday when announcing the partnership with the foundation, except that it will be focused on technology and, quote, what education should look like in the future. School buildings will remain shuttered the rest of the academic year, and students may continue to do some form of remote learning as buildings open next year with potentially new social distancing rules. Now, so the idea behind this, the premise behind this, is Andrew Cuomo wants to do away with in-classroom learning. He wants to do away with actual schools, with actual classrooms, and he wants to transition everything to virtual learning at home.
That sounds like a big fuck you to teachers in New York. There's
that, and then, you know, here's the situation that I see with it. You've got, we'll use numbers from, you know, mine and Matt's high school. When I graduated high school, I had 48 people in my graduating class. Now, of those 48 people, you had maybe 20 of them that would, if it was a situation that, we'll lay this out as the example. Most households now have two working parents. Mom and dad both work. They're gone for the day, whatever the case is. So little Johnny or little Susie is left at home by his or herself, and it's being left up to this child to do this schoolwork on their own. Now, like I said, out of my class, you had maybe 15, 20 kids that you could count on they would do it. Then you had people like me and Matt, who, if we were left at home when we were kids by ourselves and said, okay, make sure you do your work. Yeah, right. Okay.
Well, I mean, I would have done it. I just would have cheated hard. Like, they have not come up with a term for the hardness that I would have cheated.
And, you know, the education benefits of it aside, there is more to a child going to school than just learning academics. As Matt, as you and I were talking before the show, children learn social interaction skills with their peers at school. They learn social hierarchy. As much as we hate to say it, it fucking exists. Whether you want to believe it or not, social hierarchy does exist. In schools, in adulthood, wherever it exists, get used to it. Plain and simple.
Yep.
You know, I won't throw the names out there, but the town where Matt and I went to high school, if you didn't have this last name or this last name, you didn't fucking matter. Oh, and God forbid you were a fucking transplant that moved to the area.
Even worse, God forbid you were from Plainview. You were lower than shit, and that's where I hung out.
You know, like, I moved to Alabama when I was in the second grade from Georgia. And yes, I learned very early on that I was not socially accepted because my parents didn't go to that school. My grandparents didn't go to that school. My aunts and uncles didn't go to that school. Blah, 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 blah.
Well, see, it was a different set of circumstances for me because my mom went to that school. My grandfather went to that school. All my aunts and uncles went to that school. We were just all a bunch of dicks.
Yeah, you had that last name that everybody associated with asshole.
Yeah, like literally every one of my teachers was like, "Oh, you're a Lassiter." And I was like, "Ah, fuck! What did Chris do?"
Yeah, you see, you had this family where they own half the fucking northeast of damn Alabama. Then you have this family where it's all about football with them, and then you have this family whose dad's great uncle's brother's cousin built this damn steel plant here in town. Then you've got your family, the assholes.
Yeah, but at least we were known for something.
That's true.
And I did not disappoint.
That's true. Very true.
So,
I didn't even have that.
I mean, I'm just saying, I did my part. Okay.
You kept the family name going.
I really did. And you know what? If there was a way that I could get my son into Fife, I would do it just so they could get one more Lassiter.
Yeah, but the problem is all of the teachers that we had when we were in school, pretty much all of them are retired now.
Yeah.
I mean, of the teachers that we knew in school, there might be 3 or 4 left that would actually know the Lassiter last name.
Yeah, I know. And it's those 3 or 4 that they need one more Lassiter.
Yeah, but by the time you get back here to Alabama and get to where you can put him in school at 5, hell, they might be retired too.
Yeah, it's fine. We can start over with a whole new crop of teachers. I don't care.
The new generation.
Just trust me, he's going to be an asshole just like me. I already see the tendencies.
Oh, I know. You forget, I've met your child. I have met your spawn.
He's an asshole. I mean, I love him.
Now,
he's an asshole.
But this whole idea of doing away with actual physical schools and classrooms and going to online virtual learning. It's a horrible idea because, again, school isn't just about academics. It's about social interaction.
Well, it's not even that. I mean, I went to Northeast Alabama Community College. So I did online classes.
Right.
And I did flipped classrooms. You ever been to flipped classroom?
No.
Flipped classroom is where you go home, you sign into YouTube, the instructor puts a video lesson on YouTube, you copy your notes, and then you go into class and you do your homework in class. So it's the reverse of a normal classroom. You wouldn't believe the amount of people, like, luckily for me, I was good at math. Much to the chagrin of most of our math teachers. I'm actually really good at math. So you wouldn't believe the amount of people I saw just struggling because they weren't getting enough one-on-one time with the teacher because there were 70 people in this class. And 70 students to one instructor, there's no way in hell you're going to get enough help. And
yeah, but on the flip side of that coin, you're talking about higher education. We're talking about college here, which college is a choice.
Yeah, I get that, but what I'm saying is, imagine being a 12-year-old just learning algebra, but you don't get one-on-one instruction.
Right.
If you don't get it, you don't get it, and you're screwed.
Right.
It's the same thing. The only difference is I paid to be there. That's really the only difference. I'm okay. You've seen the movie Idiocracy. Yeah.
Yeah. That's how I see society. That movie is quickly turning into a fucking documentary.
Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna have door greeters at Costco. Welcome to Costco. I love you.
Leave me alone, Baton.
Go away, Baton.
Yeah, that right there. That's all you need to know about that movie. Go away, Baton.
Yeah. Although I
He
did
was
like
the lawyer.
I did like the idea of the toilet in the recliner.
Yeah, that wouldn't be too bad.
That would not be horrible. That's something we need to look at funding.
Yeah, we should fund that.
But yeah, I mean, you do away with schools, you do away with, you start enacting social distancing and all of this. Where are these children going to learn social skills from?
Well, not even that. What happens to sports? I mean, that's a very large building block for most of the youth in this country is sports.
Yes. And, I was talking with somebody about that the other day, and you do away with school districts because there are no more schools. Now it's all online learning. Well, now you've got this neighborhood where all of the kids are going to put a sports team together, and, this is the higher income neighborhood. They can afford the training and the equipment and all that other shit. And then across town on the other side of the tracks, you've got this neighborhood where they don't have access to all of the same benefits that this neighborhood does.
Exactly.
And I can already hear people out there right now, well, he's being racist, talking about on the other side of the tracks and that. You don't know what the fuck I mean by the other side of the tracks.
Trust me, I've lived on both sides of the tracks.
Yeah, and there's some pretty good fucking athletes that come from the other side of the tracks, damn it. But being athletic only gets you so far without having proper coaching and proper training.
That's true. I mean, you're only as good as, you can't teach speed and you can't teach power, but you can teach skill.
Yes.
So you can have all the intangibles, but without knowing how to properly use them, what are you really doing with it?
Yeah. So then you're going to have neighborhood A recruiting kids from neighborhood B. And now districts, what would have been districts are being crossed and all this other shit. And now you've got this powerhouse team going up against, the bench warmers.
Yeah, I don't see a way to make solely online learning a thing. Now, could I see them going, okay, we're going to do 2 hours online instruction. You'll come in for a later day. Won't have to stay as long. Maybe do an extra 2 hours online at home. I could see that.
I could even see them doing 3 days. So a 5-day school week. You come in Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday to school. And then Thursday and Friday are home days.
Yeah, they're remote days. You work from home.
Yeah, you work from home on Thursdays and Fridays. And then, if you're part of a school team or something like that, then, hey, part of being on a team like that is instead of going home at 3:00 when school lets out, well, shit, now I got to go to the weight room and lift weights until 5:00 or 6:00 in the evening, or we got to run drills or whatever the case may be. You're still going to have that. Even on Thursdays and Fridays. Yeah, I get to go home and do all of my classwork at home, but I still got to be up at the gym by damn 4:00 in the afternoon, so that way I can do all my weightlifting and shit.
Well, talking about Friday, it's game day. You got to be up there by 4:00 to load onto the bus to get ready to go.
Yeah.
I could see them doing something like that, but they will never. I don't think we could ever get to a true 100% at home learning.
No.
It's just not feasible.
No. And academics aside, like I said, the social interaction. Plain and simple. What do you do without social interaction? If you raise a generation that does not know how to act with others in society, then what ends up happening?
Well, I can already tell you what's going to happen, what's already happened. most of our kids these days don't look up from their cell phones.
Yeah. You know, like I'm sure you've seen the picture of the dad and his son sitting at the baseball game, and the bat is flying into the stands, and the kid is completely oblivious to the fact that he's got a fucking piece of wooden lumber flying at his head because he's buried in his damn cell phone.
Yeah.
And dad has got his arm up, shielding the kid, blocking the bat.
And I think there was one chubby guy in the back or the front
trying to use the force.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that chubby guy.
Yeah, there was a couple of guys.
That's what stands out to me, is them like trying to go full Sith Lord on a bat. Force lightning. Fucker.
And, you know, speaking of New York, we're going to get off the education thing. We do have other stuff to talk about, but, you know, also in New York.
Getting hammered again, Cuomo.
Yeah. So,
actually, this one was de Blasio, but whatever.
Yeah, de Blasio and Dermot Shea. Wonder if he's Irish.
Gotta be.
Gotta be with a name like Shea.
Gotta be.
Now, this is an article from Fox News, and this was a couple of days ago, 3-4 days ago, something like that.
The article I pulled up was 6 days ago, but yeah, you're close.
So the headline reads, de Blasio, NYPD commissioner. No protests allowed in New York City. Plain and simple. No protests allowed in New York City. Your First Amendment right doesn't mean shit.
Do we address him as Mein Fuhrer now, or?
I mean, Supreme Leader, maybe?
I'm after what he did to the Jews, and now you can't protest, I'm just assuming that Mein Fuhrer would be more of
maybe
a better title for him.
Maybe. So the article reads, New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio and NYPD Commissioner Dermot Shea stated outright this week that people are not permitted to gather for protests in public due to the coronavirus pandemic. The city leaders pointed to the need to maintain social distancing in order to prevent greater spread of COVID-19, stating that this takes precedence over people's rights to exercise their First Amendment rights of free speech and assembly. Now, this is a quote from a Monday press briefing from Commissioner Shea. You're talking about some of the values we hold in the highest regard in this country, and certainly in this city, the right for people to gather, the right to free speech, and the right to protest. But now comes the bad news. We're in a pandemic, and executive orders have been issued. These are laws that have been passed down through executive order to keep people alive. While we greatly, greatly respect the right of people to protest, there should not be protests taking place in the middle of a pandemic by gathering outside and putting people at risk. The announcement came... oh, my internet just jumped on me. The announcement came a day after the Reclaim Pride LGBT advocacy group protested Mount Sinai Hospital's relationship with the Samaritan Purse Christian organization, which set up a field hospital in Central Park for COVID-19 patients in an effort to reduce Mount Sinai's load. The group objected to the hospital working with the religious organization, claiming that its leadership has espoused bigoted views. Now, what they were protesting, I really don't give a shit about. What concerns...
Had the right to do it.
Yes, they still had the right to do it. What concerns me is the quote where Commissioner Shea said, "But now comes the bad news. We're in a pandemic and executive orders have been issued. These are laws that have been passed down through executive order to keep people alive." Now, I did a little bit of research here, and it says the legal or constitutional basis for executive orders has multiple sources. This is from Wikipedia talking about executive orders. The legal or constitutional basis for executive orders has multiple sources. Like both legislative statutes and regulations promulgated by government agencies, executive orders are subject to judicial review and may be overturned if the orders lack support by statute or the Constitution. Now, I did some other looking into stuff, and I'm getting mixed answers. One government website is saying that executive orders cannot act as a law. Another government website is saying executive orders can act as a law. Whether they can or cannot act as a law is irrelevant to the fact that they do not trump the Constitution. Your guaranteed rights under the Constitution, especially the Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments to the Constitution, those are inalienable rights, plain and simple.
That they are. And it's funny that they would attempt. Okay, you're trying to tell New Yorkers this is a citizenry that we know is a rowdy bunch.
Yes.
You're trying to tell a bunch of New Yorkers what they can and cannot do. You're going to have a bad time.
This was a quote from Mayor de Blasio. Excuse me. People who want to make their voices heard. There are plenty of ways to do it without gathering in person. Are we going to have... Okay, so we're doing away with classrooms, trying to do away with classrooms and go to virtual learning. Are we doing away with physical protests and going to online virtual protests?
No, see, you can't do an online virtual protest because if your virtual protest goes against the mainstream Democratic narrative, it'll get shut down by Mark Zuckerberg.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Damn it.
So basically, you can protest as long as you're not a dissenting voice. The moment you become a dissenting voice, you can't protest anymore.
Yeah. It's like that. It's like the thing that I've said. People don't want to hear your opinion. They want to hear their opinion coming out of your mouth.
Exactly. Now, while I'll say that for the most part, me and the LGBTQ community do not get along, we do not see eye to eye, you can't take away the right to protest.
Right. And
I don't care what they're protesting, you can't take that away.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the old saying goes, I may not agree with what you say, but I will defend until death your right to say it.
Exactly. Which no one knows where that came from. They want to say it was like John Locke, but they don't even know that it was 100% him.
You know what? I'm going to look and see real quick.
I've looked it up. I can't find it. Like, I've had history teachers tell me that was like John Locke. But then you go to look it up, and it says, no, that wasn't him. That was somebody else.
Well, I mean, we also had we also had the same teachers telling us that Christopher Columbus discovered America because he was looking for America.
Well, yeah.
And how smart he was. No, he was a fucking idiot.
Yeah, and not even looking for America. Which is neither here nor there.
So I have here, so I went on Google and I just typed in, I will defend until death your right to say it. And it brought up this article from Wikipedia, and it's titled Evelyn Beatrice Hall, who wrote under the pseudonym S.G. Tallentire. She was an English writer best known for her biography of Voltaire entitled The Life of Voltaire, first published in 1903. She also wrote The Friends of Voltaire, which she completed in 1906. In The Friends of Voltaire, Hall wrote the phrase, I disapprove of what you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it, as an illustration of Voltaire's beliefs.
So she was ascribing that to Voltaire then.
Yes. This quotation, which is sometimes misattributed to Voltaire himself, is often cited to describe the principle of free speech. So it's misattributed to Voltaire is what it says.
So who the fuck said it?
Who the fuck knows? We know she wrote it.
All right. So maybe she was just saying, hey, this is a summation of his beliefs on free speech.
Possibly.
That's the best I can figure out.
Yes.
They weren't listening to a lot of women back then.
But, again, the principle holds true. I don't like what you say, but you have a right to say it whether I like it or not.
Yes. And if need be, I will use my Second Amendment right to defend your First Amendment right.
Yeah, it's like Dave Chappelle said. That Second Amendment is there just in case the first one doesn't work out.
Exactly.
So, yeah, New York is just getting all kinds of fucked up.
Yeah, it really is, and it, you would think that like Trump would take special interest in New York because that's where he's from.
I don't even think Trump likes New York.
But he's basically sitting in D.C. going, not my circus, not my monkeys. He's like, fuck those guys. Let them figure it out.
Yeah.
I can't say I blame him because de Blasio is fucking up big time.
Yeah. You can't, there is nothing. I'm going to just flat out say this. There is nothing. The president cannot issue an executive order. A governor cannot issue an executive order that trumps any of the rights of the Constitution.
That's true. They can issue executive orders. They just cannot. Their executive orders do not supersede the Constitution.
Yeah, you cannot issue an executive order, and like in this case, Commissioner Shea saying, "Oh well, we've issued this executive order that says social distancing, no public gatherings, so you're not allowed to hold a protest." Wrong fucking answer, buddy.
Dude, I bet there are constitutional lawyers in New York State just salivating right now. Like, oh, God, please arrest someone.
I guarantee you there are constitutional lawyers all over this country that are going, please, 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 do it. Do it. See what happens.
There are going to be so many lawsuits to follow all this because there are people being arrested in New York for not social distancing.
Yeah. Well, like you were telling me before the show, in Odessa, Texas, the 7 guys that were arrested for standing outside of the bar with rifles slung on their arms.
Yeah. They were arrested. And what was funny was if you look that article up, when you see the cops responding on scene, they're like pulling up in like SWAT gear with guns drawn, and these dudes are standing there with their hands up. And I'm like, that is the best photo op ever.
Yeah, I mean, now
because here's what I know about the average gun owner. The average gun owner logs more time at the range than the average police officer. So, if the average gun owner wanted that to go a different way, it would have went very different very quickly.
I would say yes, but then I would also say no, because just it boils down to sheer strength in numbers. Yes, I will concede that someone like you or I, we do probably spend more time at the range than, any given police officer out there because, their requirement is pretty much annual. It's kind of like the military, annual qualification. Anything outside of that, whatever. I might go to the range once a month or once every 2 months just to, not lose out on the skill set. And then again, with something like that, that's jurisdictional depending too. Smaller towns, yeah, it's probably more likely. Bigger towns like Dallas, Houston, New York City, Los Angeles, they probably train a little bit more often because they're more likely to be involved in more conflict more often.
Yeah, well, all I'm really saying is if they didn't want to make that easy, they could have made that very hard.
Yes, I agree.
When the cops showed up, they put their hands up. They did what they should have done. They put their hands up. They went peacefully. They didn't turn it into something it didn't need to be. But had they chose to do that, you would have read a very different story.
Oh, yeah. And, again, it boils down to they were exercising their rights, their constitutional rights. They were gathered in protest, and they were exercising their Second Amendment rights. They were licensed and legally allowed to be armed in public. And
as far as I know, they were. I don't know the people personally, but I've got to assume that most gun owners in America know the laws, and if they were doing that, they were doing it legally.
I would say that's a pretty safe bet. Yeah, I will clarify that it is conjecture whether or not they were legally allowed to be armed, but we're leaning that way as of right now.
I mean, you usually have to, because most gun owners know the gun laws better than the cops themselves.
Yes. So, I mean, it's, know your rights and be willing to stand up and defend your rights. Plain and simple. It is, we are very quickly turning into a police state here in this country.
I actually shared something on Facebook earlier. It was
the picture of the girl holding the blanket?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and that is very accurate.
Which I don't think that was the original intention behind that photograph to go along with that caption, but basically she's holding a blanket, and the depiction on the blanket is a hand peeling back the American flag, and underneath the American flag is the thin blue line flag. And
yeah.
The description on the photograph was, something to the effect of when you peel back the cover of Liberty or something and expose the police state, something along those lines.
Yeah, it was something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, I don't think that was the original intention behind that photograph, but still, it's a good depiction.
No, it wasn't. I'm sure I know what the original intent was, but that whole saying that everything is subjective.
Yes. So we've got a little bit of time left. We got this last topic to discuss here. No segue, just rolling right into it. Democratic hypocrisy.
That's a staple on the show.
It is. It really is. And this is what it is. Of course, we're referring to the Joe Biden accusations of sexual assault. Which, all the shit that I've seen of Joe Biden from the past, it's highly possible this happened.
Yeah, I'm gonna go a solid majority.
I'm sure we've all seen the video by now of the little girl in the Oval Office with Joe Biden, and he keeps trying to lean in real close to her, and you can tell visibly she is uncomfortable with the situation, and she just keeps trying to pull away from him. Like, she doesn't want to just straight up jerk away from him because she doesn't want to cause a scene in the Oval Office, but you can tell she's not comfortable. So, yeah, I'd say, with shit like that, this accusation has got a little bit of credence. But, if you go back to the Kavanaugh hearing and his sexual assault accusations. What was it? Oh, yeah, that's what they were saying. Believe all women. Hashtag me too. Believe all women. If they said it, it has to be true. And we should believe them. But now, Biden is under fire. And it's gone from believe all women to, well, maybe we need to wait until all the facts come out.
Actually, it's going from believe all women to believe only the women that accuse the conservatives.
And now, Bill Maher, everybody's favorite political, I won't say everybody's favorite political commentator because he's not my favorite. But yeah, Bill Maher, political commentator, during the Kavanaugh hearing, he was quoted as saying, we have to believe the accusations. And now Bill Maher is doubling back on that now that Biden has been accused. And what was it, this past Friday, I think it was, on his show, during his opening monologue, he was referring to the Tara Reade accusations against Biden. And he urged Democrats not to let the scandal distract them from what's at stake, saying that Biden is the only hope that Democrats have for beating Trump.
Which, that he said that with a straight face is a miracle unto itself.
Yeah. He went on to say that he understood why Reade waited so long to log her accusations, but wanted to know why she waited until after Biden was the Democrats' presumptive candidate to run against Trump.
I mean, I stand on the side of I don't like 30-year-old allegations, but these are credible allegations. It's not like with Blasey Ford where they didn't remember her being there. She didn't know how she got there. She didn't know anybody that was there. People remember her talking about this.
Yes. And I mean, it's even been documented that, you know, her mother called into Larry King Live shortly after this incident occurred. And now that episode of Larry King Live has been completely erased from the episode list on that show. You can still find it, of course, because it is on the internet, but if you were to go to CNN's website or wherever to watch the show and you're looking at all the episode lists, I want to say it was like episode 127 or 172, something like that, and the episode is gone. Plain and simple. It has been removed from the list entirely. Because they're doing everything that they can to try and sweep this under the rug.
And you know, I don't understand why. Because if they just let him go down for this, they get what they want. They could replace him with somebody they would rather have running.
Yeah. Now,
like a Hillary Clinton, which I would love to see again. Wrong.
That would guarantee Trump stays in the office another 4 years.
Biden guarantees that. So.
Well, yeah, that's true too. Now, the funny thing about it, you know, Bill Maher, with all of his comments about how we need to believe Ford because she's accusing Kavanaugh, and now, you know, we don't need to believe Reid because she's accusing Biden, and you know, we don't need to let this distract us from the fact that Biden is our only one true hope, so on and so forth. You know, he is the last Jedi, whatever you want to call it. Rose McGowan. This has just come out. Rose McGowan, and I have this article right here. The headline reads, Rose McGowan accuses Bill Maher of whispering crude comment to her about his body in the 90s. Actress and Pound Me Too leader Rose McGowan. I'm sorry, hashtag Me Too leader Rose McGowan. Damn Freudian slips.
Gets you every time. Gets you every time.
Rose McGowan has accused comedian Bill Maher of whispering a crude comment about his body when she appeared on his show Politically Incorrect in the late 1990s. On Twitter, McGowan addressed Maher directly, telling the host she remembered him allegedly talking about how big his cock was. Quote, I was on your show Politically Incorrect in the late 90s. As the show returned from a commercial break, you leaned over to me and whispered in my ear, my parents didn't give me a good face, but they did give me a huge cock.
Ooh.
I could feel your hot breath on my ear as an image of both your hideous face and alleged big cock flashed in my mind. Both turned my stomach. I've always wondered what you say and do to the girls that aren't famous. And then she added, Bill, you got the face you deserved.
Here is the thing I will say about Rose McGowan. She is one of those leftist Democrats that is calling out all the, you know, Me Too stuff and just really super progressive. But she's one of the few that stood by that.
Yes.
Like Alyssa Milano, the moment that Biden was accused, she just was like, nope, didn't happen. Can't prove it. And Rose McGowan was like, no, if she said it happened, it happened.
Right.
So I can at least, even though I don't agree with her on anything, I can at least respect the fact that she stood by that.
Absolutely, yes. You know, and it was like that episode of Family Guy that had Bill Maher, where Brian wrote the self-help book, Wish It, Want It, Do It. And he was on the show with Bill Maher, and they're talking about his book. And, Brian finally admits that, he doesn't like the book. He just wrote it because he knew he could do it and it would make money. And Bill Maher's response was, any shred of respect that I had for you is gone now. If you're going to dump on people the pile of shit like this book, then at least have the intestinal fortitude to stand by that dump and claim it.
Yeah, and the same goes for you, Mr. Maher.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting. Now, I do agree from the standpoint of, this is not the first time Biden has ran for president. He first ran back in 2008 before he was selected as Obama's VP.
No, he ran in 88.
Well, the accusation didn't occur until 93.
Well,
or the incident didn't occur until 93. So anything before that, yeah, whatever.
I'm just setting up the timeline.
Oh, okay. So yeah, he runs for president in 88. And then again in 2008. So the alleged attack occurred in 93. He runs for president in 08. Why didn't she come forward then? My theory behind that is back during that time period, we didn't have #MeToo and all that other shit. So women still had the mindset of, well, people are going to look down on me because I was a sexual assault victim.
Which I don't understand that. I will never understand that. If it is a credible attack, if it was credible and it happened, I would never look down on a woman.
Absolutely.
Because it happened to them.
Absolutely.
These are the people that should be defended.
Right.
The issue I have is the people like the Blasey Fords who come out and say this happened and there is no proof.
Yeah. And here's the thing about it. I fortunately have never been a victim of sexual assault. I know several people who have been victims of sexual assault, and that does create PTSD for those individuals, and they remember those incidences like they just happened. Could have happened 30 years ago, could have happened 30 minutes ago. They still remember it. And for Ford to come out and say, well, this happened, but I don't remember any of the details of it, that in and of itself tells me that she was full of shit.
The only way that I would say that she wasn't is if it was like a repressed memory. Because people that get sexually assaulted do repress memory sometimes.
Yes.
But there was no corroborating evidence.
Yeah.
In her case.
Yeah.
With Reed's case, there is corroborating evidence. There are people that say, I remember her talking about this. Her mom calling into Larry King, asking what she should do. That's pretty substantial.
I'd say so. And then the fact that, they're trying to erase that episode like it never happened.
And then you have Biden trying to say that it didn't happen. And he threw out the shittiest argument ever. No, it didn't happen. If that did happen, it would be, what did he say it would be in? Like, they would have had to file a claim with something. It had something to do with Congress.
Oh, Jesus.
But that's not true. That's not how that would have happened.
No.
So he completely misrepresented the evidence that he had to exonerate him.
Yeah. Yeah.
He has no evidence.
Yeah. So we're going to have to leave it there. We're running short on time here. So don't forget to tune into my other show on Tuesday night here, 2AT Second Amendment Talk with Rod Burks. Got a lot to be talking about on the show this week, so be sure to tune in for that. Also, be sure to go on Facebook, look us up at Two Beards Talking, like us, follow us, interact with us, let us know what you think about the show. Give us some ideas on stuff you'd like to hear from us. And, we'll go from there. If it's a good idea, then we'll run with it. If it's a bad idea, then it'll probably go in the trash like the rest of the bad ideas we get.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, again, big shout out to the troops, to the men and women serving overseas and on the home front. We appreciate everything y'all are doing for us. Keep up the good work. Come home safe. We're all rooting for you. And a big shout out to all of the first responders, medical personnel, and essential workers taking care of us during this pandemic. Thanks for what you're doing, and keep up the good work with that as well. This has been Two Beards Talking. For Matt Lassiter, I'm Daniel Sanders. Thanks for listening, everybody.